Welcome to the Free Zone Podcast, a space where we feel free and we talk about whatever we want, however we want, and with no filters. Today we have a very distinguished guest in the house, Emmy Award winning expert, media expert, also investor, health coach, and former assistant of President Donald Trump, Mr. Torrens. Before we start, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
What did I call you, Thor? Because I love your nickname, but I was very curious about it.
In around 2012, I grew my hair out pretty long, and I was a big white guy, so people started just calling me Thor on the street. And I resisted it at first, and then changed my name on Facebook, and then as a joke, and then Facebook didn't let me change it back.
Oh, so you stay with Thor.
And then I was doing a conference in Times Square, and the CEO of a company was like, there was like a Guatemalan guy dressed up as Thor in Times Square, like 5'5", and they're like, "This isn't right. You need to go out there and dress as." So they bought me a costume at like a professional costume shop. So if you go on YouTube and search "Thor goes to Times Square," you'll see that video.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was kind of like stalking you yesterday and looking at some videos. And by the way, I have like 3 months left of living by according to your last podcast, because you were talking about, I mean, like I mentioned before, you're like a health coach and advocate. And you were talking about all the things, all these nutrition tips, the vitamin A toxicity. And I was like in shock. First of all, because I have a caffeine addiction, which I heard is pretty bad. And second, because we don't have enough knowledge about, everything that comes with the vitamin A. But before we go into that, because there's a lot that I have to ask you, you're a man of many talents. How do you go from health advocate to investor to working in the government?
So I was in New York City I was born and raised in New York. When I came out of college, I got a job right away in media in New York City, working on commercials and music videos for like Kanye West and Cameron and SZA and a few other artists. And then I was working under an art director. He got a job on Law and Order, and it was a union job, so he didn't really invite me. So then I got a job doing teleprompting at NBA TV in Secaucus, New Jersey. And then NBA TV ended up moving to Atlanta, and I didn't get invited to that. So then I started doing teleprompting in New York City with a company and on my own, and started working just for like the biggest names in the world, whether it was celebrities, politicians, banks, VH1, MTV, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, any
impressive.
charity events. So like as a teleprompter operator, all of a sudden you're in the rooms with the most powerful and wealthy people in the world. Anyone using a teleprompter to do a speech or a TV show, you have it. And then July 2016, we got a call from the Trump campaign.
Wow, I was about to ask you that.
And this is when he had like less than 1% chance of winning, I think it was even before that. And I think a lot of operators in New York kind of said no because they didn't like him. And I was already saying that I liked him, and I was already saying that he was going to win. Like I was posting it on social media, like this guy's going to win. And I said, CNN hates him, Fox hates him, then we have something good here.
Right.
Because both those people are lying. So went out on the road with him and started doing all the rallies. And I started to call back home right away, like, this guy's going to win.
Right.
And like the TV is lying. Because everywhere we went to, there was lines for blocks.
Media usually does that. They manipulate a lot of the information.
We did a rally in Florida. It was at an airport hangar. There was like spillover crowd out the door, lines for blocks. He came and landed in his plane. The music was blasting. Everyone was chanting his name. And I was like, and I looked through the crowd, and it was Spanish, black, gay, like the whole crowd. It wasn't like
everybody.
this.
Like there was no like a specific demographic. It was everybody.
And there was parts of the country where it was a lot of white, but like this crowd specifically, I looked out there and I was like, how is this not going to translate to votes? Like this man is the most popular person in the world right now. So he ended up winning. And then 3 years later, I got an invitation to come work at the White House with him when they started campaigning again. And they said, hey, do you want this position? I said, of course. So I went in, did that, and then
That must have been an experience, like a lifetime experience working with him.
It sure was. It sure was. It was a once in a lifetime experience. And then 2020, obviously he didn't win, which looking back, I think was a blessing in disguise because a lot of people got a perspective, you know, for how bad it could be. And he got to learn even more. And then I came back to New York after that and like pretty much lost all my clients and work because, you know, not only was I working for the guy they didn't like, but I was just out of sight, you know,
Right.
out of mind. So that's when I kind of reinvented myself. I always had the entrepreneurial hat on. I was always buying websites, flipping websites, creating little. I remember I bought a site, juicingforwomen.com, juicing fruits and vegetables.
Wow.
Sold that, and then I was always into health and wellness
Right.
from like since like
You were
really.
telling me before that you were an athlete, before you.
Yeah, I was a college athlete, played baseball in college, and then played baseball after that in like amateur leagues and stuff. So I was always into like biohacking. I hate that word, but even before, and that's how I kind of got into, you know, people were like, "Yo, you're really good at this. You helped me got better. You helped me fix this. You put me onto that. Like you should start doing this and scaling this." So for the 2 years from 2020 to 2022, when I really wasn't working or doing anything, I said, let me start doing this as a profession, as a job, you know, and helping people get better. Because as you know, there's just so many people lost looking for answers, whether it's they want to put on more muscle, or they want to lose weight, you know, autoimmune disease. There's so many sick and fat people and anxious and depressed people out there that I threw my kind of hat into the ring and was like, hey, let's fix some people up.
Wow. And do you plan working with the government again? Is that something that you would like to do, or you're more like on your, you know?
I'd rather be like an associate and a consultant where I can help businesses and help people bridge that gap, right? Strategic, government relations. I don't know if I would want to go back into the government unless I have a lot of money and a big position where it's
Right.
like, but I don't want to go back to like making a 130 grand a year salary
Yeah.
and like having to report somewhere every day. I think I'm better off like outside in the world, spreading my wings and evolving. There's a higher ceiling. I can reach more people. I can say more crazy things,
Right.
you know. So I did that. I've been there, done that. It was awesome. Know everybody, you know, already been there. So now it's time to kind of like evolve. You know?
It's very interesting because usually the guests and the people that I bring here, I was telling you before, they're artists, they're athletes, but very few people, actually, you're my first one, that are involved in politics, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And usually I don't like to get involved in politics or religion because everybody has a different opinion, everybody's very respectful, but we're in the Free Zone podcast. So we're going to talk freely about whatever we want. And also, it's very interesting because politics in the United States are always they create a lot of, you know, people talk a lot, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of manipulation in the media. There's a lot of people that that they don't have the knowledge for certain things and certain subjects, but they still have an opinion, right?
Yeah.
So I know that you told me you were involved with the Trump administration in 2016, then kind of 2020. What do you think about the Trump administration today? What he's doing in 2025?
I think Trump 2.0 is better than the first one. I think we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs in the office. There's a lot of founders, and it's a lot easier to get things done, right? If you're a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a capitalist, which is a great thing, as you know, coming from Cuba, right? I think the problem with the don't speak politics of the past was that was dangerous, and we let a lot of things slide, right? We let a lot of things happen, and we were like, oh, don't say anything because you don't want to talk about politics. But there was a time where things just got way too far one way, right? And things started to spill over into the family unit, into the schools, into the foods,
Right.
where it's like, hey, these things are all part of the same conversation, and we have to start bringing them up. Like, look at the Trump administration and the Republicans. They're the ones now doing this MAHA movement, right? Make America Healthy Again
Right.
is part of this Make America Great Again conversation. And you can't be great if you're not healthy. And you can't be wealthy if you're not healthy,
I agree.
right? So it's very ironic and it's symbolic that, you know, this administration is the one that's spearheading people to get healthy, right? And I think that's awesome too, because a lot of us who are health conscious and, you know, health nuts and, you know, they did a meme or a study that like, if you post videos or pictures of yourself working out, that you're crazy.
You're crazy.
Or you're psychotic. So who's the author of that study, right? Because
Right.
we know scientists can prove whatever they want, and they're really good at proving things that they're paid to prove. And then on the other side of that coin, it's like if you're posting a video or a picture of you exercising or eating good, you're motivating one, two, maybe 100 people, even 1,000. You're gonna motivate at least one person to start following you, right? To
Right.
start eating right, to start training right. So that's just one little trick they play to like make this not look cool when it is cool, right? When we should be following this. So yeah, I think that 4 years off helped a lot
Right.
for people's perspective, and I think he's now surrounded by a lot more talent and a lot more genius, and a lot less yes men. You know, people are saying, "Hey, this is the way to do this," and he's very good at that. He's very good at surrounding himself with genius experts. And he, one of the things I love about President Trump is he'll ask anybody for their opinion,
Right.
right? And if, it doesn't matter who you are. And if you have a great opinion, he'll consider it and, you know, bring it to the table to possibly run with it. So,
Right. One of the things that I actually that you were mentioning before, because I mean, we're talking about foods and we were talking about countries, and it's very interesting how the food, I don't know why, maybe you can explain this better to me. The food in Europe tastes totally different than here in America. And I remember I spent some time in Europe, I was telling you before, and when I moved to America, for me it was shocking. Number one, the amount of food that they serve
yeah.
for in average restaurants, and also the health, the consciousness, the habits, the nutrition habits, the way that Americans eat in general. But it's almost concerning how bad and how many ingredients the food, like the organic food, has. Like you read the ingredients, and sometimes I'm like, why am I eating this? It's supposed to be healthy. I shouldn't be eating any of this.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
is there any regulation that you think they should put in, like, or maybe apply? Because
Yeah.
we're like killing ourselves slowly.
Yeah, there's a few things, right? So right away, the soil, our soil quality is very depleted of essential minerals, especially zinc. And if you look at zinc deficiency, that's correlated with low testosterone, low brain function. So like over 300 enzyme processes are with zinc. But really, the main thing is the bread, right? The flour, the grain. People say, oh, I went to Italy and I ate that and I lost weight. Well, it's not the bread, it's what we're putting in our bread,
Right.
right? So our bread, the difference between our bread and like Italian European bread, we have glyphosate in our bread, way more than they do. We also have fortification, right? They put, if you read labels of bread, you'll see niacinamide, folic acid, reduced iron, God forbid vitamin A palmitate,
Yeah.
sometimes they put in it. And the other thing is they use bromide, which is a toxic halide, right? So a lot of people aren't necessarily intolerant or allergic to bread. A lot of people have a sensitivity to all these additives and fortifications that they're putting into bread. So to answer your question, I think one of the best things we can do in this Maha movement is relook this whole fortification conversation. Right, around 1970 is when we started to really put all these fortifications and vitamins inside of our food. And if you've been paying attention, we've continued to get more sick and more sick and more fat and more depressed and more anxious. Like, we are not getting more healthy, we're getting
Yeah.
more sick. So we have to go back in a lot of ways to how we had things before.
Even the levels of testosterone in a guy today is way lower if they compare it to 20, 30 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like a 20-year-old male, testosterone today is like a 60-year-old 30 years ago.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of guys go on testosterone replacement therapy now because all the toxins in their liver, they can't keep up, right? So they get this bottleneck and they can't get these toxins out, and it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? You have microplastics, you have deficiency in zinc, you have vitamin A toxicity, you have copper toxicity, you have lack of sunlight, you have lack of, quality foods and microplastics and all these things. So there's soy is another one where, starting in the 70s and 80s, we started to have these programs with all this soybean oil and, a lot of soy and deep soy has definitely got their reach. So it's, there's a lot of people who say, oh, you're scared of this, you're scared of that. I don't think we're scared of anything. We're being conscious, right?
Right.
And we're saying, hey, there's a problem here. Let's look at the list of solutions. Let's do some accounting for what could possibly be causing this. Let's go back to the way we had it before we had this epidemic of low T and toxicity and start making some, changes. It could start one change at a time, but that's the way we're starting to get a lot of people to look and feel better.
And it's interesting because I'm sure you're a very busy guy, that you have a lot going on, but some way, somehow, we go to the same gym, by the way. That means the athletes gym.
Yes.
And you always make time for your health, for your workouts. And I'm sure it gets hectic at some point. You have life, you have work, you have kids, you have this, you have that. So it takes effort and discipline to get an hour for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's so important. Like, people underestimate the power of a workout and of getting a little bit of sun, or getting a habit of eating your meals at a certain time. It's like, and life gets busy, but you have to do it. That's the only way you're gonna survive and have a healthy life.
The worst workout is the one you don't do. And a lot of people, what I do with people is I say, hey, compliance is the science, right?
Right.
What does that mean? Let's get you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. So, for example, most people don't want to go to the gym and run on a treadmill.
Right.
They don't want to walk on a treadmill. They don't have an hour. They don't have a 40 minutes. But you can take a 10-minute walk after every meal. You can park further away and walk into the store. You can use the steps instead of the elevator, right? You can make fine little adjustments in your life, where there's actually a study out of Japan where 4 10-minute walks a day are better than 1 hour walk,
Wow.
right? And what I think it has to do with is not being a sedentary, right?
Right.
Moving more. But that 10 minutes, everyone can find 10 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a priority, like where you put your time and effort to. It all depends the personality. It all depends your habits, and also the priorities that you put in your health. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have time because I have to work, or I don't have time because it's a rat race, right? When in all reality, if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to operate well. And I wanted to ask you, because we were talking about it before, what do you think a healthy lifestyle is? Like, because we both smoke cigars. We were talking about it before.
Yeah.
I say that everything extreme is bad, but you can have a glass of wine. You can have, but when you define a healthy lifestyle, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, being positive first, being happy, starting the day with some sunlight or just some light, starting the day with some movement, having a low toxic diet, which for us means a low vitamin A diet. What we found is a lot of people are just overdoing it on the so-called vitamin that's actually retinol and alcohol, turns into retinoic acid and a lot of other nasty things. Keeping it simple, not becoming a health nut, not suffering from orthorexia,
Right.
as we discussed
We
earlier,
discussed before, yeah, the term.
where people are just taking, I fell victim to this. I was guilty of this. I had a cabinet full of 50 plus supplements. I was trying to eat the rainbow diet. I was trying to eat a carrot, a sweet potato, a pepper, a spinach, a yogurt. Like, I was trying to check all the boxes to get all these vitamins and minerals, and I was doing too much. And when you look back to nature, right? You just got to go back a few years, a few decades. Like, how did our bloodlines evolve, and what were people really eating, right?
Right.
People weren't taking all these supplements. People were not eating the rainbow diet because we have seasonal plants that come once a year.
Right.
So it makes zero sense. They say eat the rainbow, eat plant-based. Most of the plants people are eating, they didn't exist 1,000 years ago. Their bloodline didn't evolve on them, and they only come seasonally once a year, right? So if you're in Chicago eating a mango in January every day for breakfast,
That's kind of suspicious.
it's not natural.
Right.
It's just not. It's not natural. But we've normalized this behavior, and that's just one way. I said, wait a minute. Like, marketers are ruining people's health by every day coming out. Oh, eat this superfood. Ooh, here's the benefits of this, because they get clicks, they get views, they get signups, and I saw a huge void in the market of this health space of who are the people saying, wait a minute, do less.
Right.
And Hippocrates' oath was do no harm. One of the founding fathers of Western medicine, which doctors still have to sign a pledge, do no harm. And I saw a lot of these marketers and health gurus recommending 100 supplements a day,
Wow.
recommending the mega dose vitamin D3, mega dose vitamin A, mega dose. Everyone was like, mega dose this, mega dose that. And I'm like, oh, you guys are taking drugs. This is like a
Right.
drug effect. Then I look deeper into the rabbit hole that big supplement and big pharma are kind of two different arms of the same head. Like, big pharma is now making supplements and selling supplements, and a lot of these supplements are being outsourced to China and India. I'm like, where did we lose the plot where nutrition is now made in a warehouse overseas and then shipped to us in a pill?
Right.
Right? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because most of our supplements are made in China, and you don't even know the real ingredients that they put in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's no regulations over there. How are you gonna How are you gonna know what you're getting?
So there's regulations, but no one really wants to be the cop. No one wants to be the policeman saying, hey, and there's some companies that are really good at like third party testing and
Right.
showing quality. And there's some supplements that are not as good. Because I have some supplement manufacturers in my DMs like really mad at me for the videos I've been posting, right?
Wow.
And
I'm sure you get a lot of hate on social media
get a lot of
for
hate,
what you say.
but get just as much love. Because listen, people will accept that the news lied to them. People will accept politicians lied to them. People will accept that history is a lie. When you come for their health
Yeah.
religion, people get very like, cognitive dissonance of like, oh, there's no way I'm wrong about that, and they take it very personal, which is the worst thing you can do, right?
Right.
I'm still learning, and that's why it's called practicing. If you're in medicine, if you're in health, we're all practicing. We're all fine tuning. You're unique. I'm unique. You can't take a one size fits all approach to every single human being, right?
Right.
And that's why I had a real issue with people saying, hey, take this supplement. Well, how do you know what her levels
Yeah,
are? How do you know
exactly.
what his levels are? Are you running a blood test? Are you running a hair test? And it was kind of like the Wild Wild West where like people were just out here doing anything and everything. And I saw a lot of hurt, broken people
Right.
from it, right?
It's funny because we were talking about it before. Like today, like you see these people that, oh, I'm gonna take a smoothie in the morning. I'm gonna take 1,000 vitamins in the evening, and I'm gonna do a plant-based diet just because. And they don't
Yeah.
even know what they're lacking. They don't even know the vitamins they need. I throw away all my multivitamins after what you told me. I'm
Good.
like, nope, nope,
Yeah.
no. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, and people don't know about this.
It's better to be safe. It's better to be safe than sorry. Vitamin A is a fat soluble molecule that even the worst doctors in the world will agree, right? So you look at most multivitamins, there's 150 to 200% of your daily RDA vitamin A. So that means before I even put a bite of food in my mouth, I'm already overdosing on this thing that I can get too much of. And I saw the other day one of these popular prenatals has vitamin A in it. And vitamin A causes birth defects.
Oh,
Right? So
wow.
how could you give a pregnant mother this fat soluble thing that causes birth defects when you don't even know if she's already has too much?
Right.
Right? Because it's time dose dependent. But to your smoothie thing, I had a guy the other day said, well, what can I drink for my smoothie now in the morning?
Right.
And I'm like, the word smoothie didn't even exist 20 years ago. No one was
Now
making,
we're obsessed with the smoothies.
But I said, hey, if you want to do it, do, egg white protein with a banana and coconut water, and maybe some seasonal berries. Like, so even if I'm like, if you must have a protein smoothie, don't do the dark leafy green with it. Don't do the high carotenoid, fruits with it. So there's still a way to like adapt. And, I did a tweet today because some people go a little too strict and they
Right.
go a little too minimal. My whole thing is like, you don't have to go on a strict low vitamin A diet, but if you even decrease it by 50%, right? And you do some basic accounting where every day you're not going over the daily limit, that right away is going to do volumes for your health,
Right.
and overall wellness.
On a daily basis, what's a normal day of eating for you? Like, how do you start your day? What do you have for lunch? What do you have for dinner?
Yeah, so the base of my diet is rice, beans, meat, and it's usually bison.
Wow.
I prefer bison to, cattle because a few reasons. First of all, you are what you eat, and bison is a big, strong, fast animal. Bison runs into the storm when all the other animals are running away from the storm.
Right.
The Native Americans used to say that, why do you eat that cow? It breaks its ankle in the field. The bison, will never break its leg in the field. But bison really also has more zinc,
Right.
right? And that's what we want for testosterone and skin and nails and healing wounds. But then also like chicken, organic chicken, bananas, apples, the low carotenoid fruits, right? That white, creamy in the middle. The banana is white, the apple's white. Figs, I've been doing a lot lately.
I love figs. They're delicious.
If I do vegetables, figs are also a great source of calcium,
Oh.
right? And some people on the low vitamin A diet are worried about calcium because all of a sudden they go from eating a lot of dairy to no dairy, and that could be a worry for some. So figs are a great source of that. Same with white beans. And then for vegetables, I try to do the same approach as the fruit. So instead of an orange carrot, the white carrot or a
Right.
parsnip, roots, burdock root, celery root, yucca.
Yuca, you eat
Yeah.
yuca. It's crazy because I'm listening to your diet. And I'm like, the Cuban diet is just like that. It's rice, beans, yuca, and meat.
Yeah.
It's like, keep it simple.
People say, oh, third world, but if you look at these third world countries, they don't get autoimmune disease.
No,
Right? They do not. Autoimmune disease
we
started.
don't have gluten issues. We
You
don't.
Right. And you have to eat like that still. You can come to America or the first world and get all the benefits of capitalism, but you do not eat how we eat.
Right.
Continue to eat how your grandparents ate. There's nothing wrong with rice, beans, and meat if you have it, and some seasonal plants in your area, and some coconut water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, keep that. You see a lot of people who come here and all of a sudden they're getting sick. All of a sudden they're getting fat. All of a sudden they're getting skin issues. Right? So, I make a joke. Do business like a capitalist, but eat like a socialist or communist.
It's true.
You know?
It's true. Yeah. I mean, our diet is like very, very basic. Like literally rice, beans, meat, that's it. And yuca. And we have something that's called plátano maduro.
Yep.
And translation would be, it's like a sweet plantain, but it's fried. Not necessarily the healthiest thing, but it's delicious.
Yep.
And it's
I
high in
used to-
potassium.
I used to make it with coconut oil and a little bit of cinnamon. I would do coconut oil with grass-fed butter, and my Spanish friends would be like, "Yo, why are your maduros better than mine?" I'm like, because you're using vegetable oil,
Right.
and I'm using butter and coconut
I'm gonna
oil.
have to try that. I'm not a big chef, to be honest, but
Yeah.
it gave me nostalgia of home.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I have these questions here that I usually ask to all of my guests. They're like random questions that do nothing to do with nutrition. They're like very generic
I
questions.
like it.
Let me see. Let's see this one. This one's calling me. I'm gonna make the first question to Thor. You know that I have to admit that was my biggest crush for the longest time. Not you, the Thor, the real
The
Thor.
character.
So that's why I was like, why are they calling him Thor? Okay,
yeah.
let's see. Okay, here we go. If you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would you choose and what would you do?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I've never thought about this. If I could trade lives with anyone for a day,
For a day, who would you choose? Would you choose and what would you do?
do they have to be alive or anyone throughout history?
It could be anyone. Could be anyone. This is your story. It's your moment. You can pick whatever you want.
If I could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would I be and what would I do? Sheesh.
Bum 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 bum. It's funny because I mean, we don't get this question a lot, but I got a few people having it, and I'm like, I have one guest that is like, you know what? I wouldn't trade lives with anyone. I love my life so much, and I'm like, wow, this is such a cute. Because like the first thing I'm like, I would like to be this, and then that, and every single. It's like what you were saying before. Every single individual is different.
I'm leaning towards I wouldn't want to trade lives with anyone because A, I love my life. B, if I were to be someone else and do something different, I could change the whole course of history and we might not even be here right now.
Oh, I am getting emotional now. That's sweet. Okay, so you're not trading lives with anyone. That's your final answer.
Yeah, not trading lives with anyone.
For sure. I thought you were gonna give me like a history thing or something. Like, come on. Like you, for a moment, I saw you thinking and thinking and thinking and brainstorming.
This is gonna be one of these questions where I'm driving home and be like, "Oh,
I
I
should
should have
have.
said this."
I should have said this. Okay, we're gonna
Let's
go.
do another one. Let's do another
Let's
one.
do another one. Let's
Let
see.
me think about it.
Let's see. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. What about this? This is like a piñata. I always loved piñatas when I was a girl, and I'm actually obsessed with them. Ooh, what is this? This is actually a very funny question because you're like a very serious, put together guy. What is the craziest decision you made that you don't regret?
Craziest decision that I've made that I don't regret. First of all, I don't really have any regrets. Craziest decision I ever made that I don't regret. Sheesh, this is another craziest decision that I've ever made that I don't regret. Probably moving to Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
Florida is crazy, yeah.
Leaving New York and coming to Florida. Because I had such, I had New York on such lockdown and I had all my friends and family and connections and familiar, so familiar, so everything on easy mode. And then coming to a new place where I didn't really know as many people.
Right.
Crazy decision, don't regret it.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. Do you still have family in New York?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you miss New York?
I do miss New York. I was just there for a week and I like to go back every summer and there's still nothing like it. Right. On planet Earth. I'm
sure that when you live in New York, when you live in such an amazing city, I've been in New York only once, and it was impressive. It's that type of city. You're like, whoa, there's nothing like it. I don't know if I would be able, to be honest, to live in New York just because I'm an island girl and the dynamic is totally different. Yeah. But it's impressive, honestly. For me, it's one of the most amazing places in the world.
Well, Manhattan is an island.
Well, yeah, but it's too cold for me.
It's not right.
It's still cold.
Yeah, no,
it's not the
cold.
same. It's not the same. It's not the tropical. It's not the Caribbean. I'm honestly, I think one of the reasons why I moved to Florida was because of that. Because it was very similar. Because I lived in Europe and everything, but it's still not the same. It's very weird.
Yeah, no, we had a good summer, and it was starting to get cold, and I was like, I just want to keep summer going.
Right.
And it was weird because the skies started to get less and less blue. There was more overcast skies and, the day would start off clear blue sky and sunny. And then all of a sudden, the airplanes would come. There'd be these lines in the sky. And an hour later, all overcast. Yeah. And as like a boy growing up, I just remember way more, blue skies, sunny days. Because I love the sun and I love going outside. Mm-hmm. So I would take notice of this. And every time I came to Florida, it's just so blue sky, so sunny. Right. So nice. And I was like, yeah, keep it going.
Are you ready for the third question?
Let's do it. I think this will be easier than the first two.
I mean, honestly, the first two weren't difficult. You just had a little bit of a hard time, answering oh my God, I found them all. Which one do I pick? This is Luisito, our, director, that he always hides the questions.
This is good. I like this. Should do the whole show like this.
This is the whole, this is fun, right? I love doing this part. Okay. Wow. Okay, this is a deep question.
Uh-oh.
How would you describe your life philosophy in one word and why?
Everything is your frame and your perspective.
It has to be one word, Thor. One.
One word. Perspective.
Perspective. And why?
Everything is you controlling your own reality. Right? And the strongest reality wins. And a lot of people will come in and try to control you or your reality or your thoughts. And if you let enough of them have an impact on you, it'll work. Right? So the biggest battle we have is to constantly have a strong inner voice and constantly frame our life in a positive light where we can keep headed in the right direction and keep climbing the mountain and keep building. Right? Rather than people trying to tear us down and bring us down. And if you let other people direct your life story, they will. So you have to be the director, the writer, the producer, and the main character actor in this movie called Life, because
That's
if you
true.
don't do it, someone else will, and they don't always have the best intentions in mind.
Intentions. That's interesting. It's very perspective. I like that. I always close the podcast with this question. I always ask to every single person that's here, what does it mean for you to be in the free zone? And what would it be an advice that you would give to the people that are watching the show, like to
Yeah.
be in the free zone?
When I think free zone, and it comes back to this last point, is just being free to be yourself and unique. You know, there's this new movement where they say kill your ego, no ego. But then you're really just part of the hive mind. Then you're just a worker bee doing the same thing everyone else does. And it's scary to go out on your own and do something crazy. But the truth is, no one really cares, and they're really just thinking about themselves. You know, so the more you do things outside the box, the more you do things that are crazy and unique, the more free you become, and the more you lean into that superpower. And it really is a superpower, you know, and especially for the young people who might be a little bit more insecure, like just know that confidence is key, and having a perspective and a strong frame where you know you can step outside the box and do whatever you want and do whatever you love as long as you're not hurting anybody, you know, and as long as you're having fun, that's where the results and the success is going to come.
Wow, I'm speechless right now. Like, there's no, I really don't need to say anything else. You literally just closed the show. Thank you so much for being here with me and here in the Free Zone Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And of course, you guys know already the drill. Follow us, subscribe, and everything. And we'll see you soon in the Free Zone Podcast.